Travel along, Catholic pilgrims, for 1 year as we read through St. Faustina's diary. Join me, Amy Thomas, each day for a short reading out of the diary which brought us a deeper understanding of Christ's divine mercy. Hello, Catholic pilgrims. Welcome to day 24 of our readings from St. Faustina's diary. So today's readings, we are going to kind of plunge back into some darker writings here. And I really think that these writings are going to be kind of relatable for the year that we've gone through and, kind of how things aren't looking much better lately. But they are kind of dark, and we're going to be reading a kind of a lengthier piece today just because it all really flows together, and I think you'll see why. But what I want you to really pay attention to as we're reading today, and what stuck out to me, is she's expressing this deep torment in her soul. But every time she expresses it, she then grasps for, but I'm going to hang on to what you're trying to show me. And she even says at one point, I've lost hope, but then she comes back and you can tell that she really hasn't. It seems to be just how she's feeling. So while it's a lengthier piece today, I think in many ways it describes how we've maybe all felt over the past year, maybe how we felt at some time in our life when we were suffering in a particularly bad way. So I really want you to hear what she's saying, and then we'll talk about it. But it is a little bit lengthier, so it's going to take up most of my time today. But we are reading from Notebook 1, 67 through 70. When I fell sick, probably the beginning of consumption, after my first vows, and when, despite the kind and solicitous care of my superiors and the efforts of the doctor, I felt neither better nor worse, remarks began to reach my ears which inferred that I was making believe. With that, my suffering was doubled, and this lasted for quite a long time. One day, I complained to Jesus that I was being a burden to the sisters. Jesus answered me, "You are not living for yourself, but for souls, and other souls will profit from your sufferings. Your prolonged suffering will give them the light and strength to accept my will." The heaviest suffering for me was that it seemed to me that neither my prayers nor my good works were pleasing to God. I did not dare lift up my eyes to heaven. This caused me such great suffering during the community exercises in the chapel that one day Mother Superior Raphael called me aside after the exercises and said to me, "Sister, ask God for grace and consolation, because I can see for myself, and the sisters keep telling me, that the very sight of you evokes pity. I really do not know what to do with you, sister. I command you to stop tormenting yourself for no reason." But all these conferences with Mother Superior brought me no relief, nor did they clarify anything for me. Rather, even greater darkness hid God from me. I looked for help in the confessional, but not even there did I find it. A saintly priest wanted to help me, but I was so miserable that I couldn't even define my trouble, and that vexed me even more. A deathly sadness penetrated my soul to such an extent that I was unable to hide it, and it was apparent to those around me. I lost hope. The night was growing darker and darker. The priest to whom I went to confession said to me, "I see very special graces in you, sister, and I am not worried about you at all. Why are you tormenting yourself in this way?" But at that time, I did not understand at all what he was saying, and was extremely surprised when, by the way of penance, I was ordered to say the Te Deum or the Magnificat, or to run fast around the garden in the evening, or else to laugh out loud 10 times a day. These penances were very surprising to me, but even with that, the priest was not able to give me much help. Evidently, God wanted me to give him glory through suffering. That priest consoled me, saying that in my present situation, I was more pleasing to God than if I were filled with the greatest consolations. "It is a very great grace, sister," he told me, "that in your present condition, with all the torments of soul you are experiencing, you not only do not offend God, but you even try to practice virtues. I am looking into your soul, and I see God's great plans and special graces there, In seeing this, I give thanks to the Lord. But despite all that, my soul was in a state of torture. And in the midst of unspeakable torments, I imitated the blind man who entrusts himself to his guide, holding his hand firmly, not giving up obedience for a single moment. And this was my only safety in this fiery trial. O Jesus, eternal truth, strengthen my feeble forces. You can do all things, Lord. I know that without you, all my efforts are in vain. O Jesus, do not hide from me, for I cannot live without you. Listen to the cry of my soul. Your mercy has not been exhausted, Lord, so have pity on my misery. Your mercy surpasses the understanding of all angels and people put together. And so, although it seems to me that you do not hear me, I put my trust in the ocean of your mercy, and I know that my hope will not be deceived. Only Jesus knows how burdensome and difficult it is to accomplish one's duty when the soul is so interiorly tortured, the physical powers so weakened, and the mind darkened. In the silence of my heart, I kept saying to myself, O Christ, may delights, honor, and glory be yours, and suffering be mine. I will not lag one step behind as I follow you, though thorns wound my feet. Woo! Heavy suffering. This is very, it was a little hard to read because I really felt terribly sorry for her. Though I know that all of us at some point usually experience these dark times in our lives. And, something that really occurred to me when reading this is so often in our lives, when something stops feeling good, we want to jump ship. When sports get too hard and we come up against a wall and we may have to fight through it, when it stops feeling good all the time, we want to just quit. When our marriages stop being, like the good old days when everything was sunshine and butterflies, when it stops feeling really good, we want to jump ship. And I have seen a lot of this kind of amplified on social media this year. Lots and lots of people are doubting their faith, leaving their faith. I just don't feel it anymore. It doesn't feel good. I'm getting no joy out of anything. I'm so sick of online mass. Life has just become this dull drudgery. What are we doing? I just don't see God in all this. I'm walking away. And I feel for those people. I do. I can see that they're struggling through some deep torments. I think she is showing us the answer here. Gosh, she goes through everything. So at first, she's suffering and people are like, okay, yeah, I think you're just make-believing here. You're not really that upset. Get your act together. How many of us have had that happen to us? And then she's got a mother superior who is like, gosh, sister, you walking around suffering all day. Me and the other sisters are, it makes us feel really bad for you. I don't know what to do with you. Could you kind of knock it off because you're making us all feel bad? And then she's got the priest who's trying to be helpful and give some good words, but they're just not cutting it. And, she goes through all these different things but at each step, she keeps saying, I'm going to just follow you. And I think it's the two places where it's just incredible, her trusting in God is where she says, but despite all that, my soul was in a state of torment. And in the midst of unspeakable torments, I imitated the blind man who entrusts himself to his guide, holding his hand firmly, not giving up obedience for a single moment. And then on the next page, she says, I will not lag one step behind as I follow you, though thorns wound my feet. It's like this woman is showing us the answer. She is imitating Christ in the Garden of Gethsemane. Gosh, let this cup pass from me. But if this is what you want, if it's going to bring about some greater good, then your will be done, God. She is imitating Christ. When everything seems the worst, when torments are just torturing her soul, she clings to obedience. I'm going to be obedient. I'm going to trust that you will get me through this, even when I don't feel you, even when this isn't feeling good anymore. And I think it's important to remember that this is the test of our faith. Because if everything always feels good, if everything is always perfect, and you're never pressed to really test your faith, think of Job, then is our faith really sincere? I know that's hard to think about, and I know that's something that we don't like to think about, but I think it's something that's important to think about. I don't wish suffering on anybody, but I think what Sister Faustina shows us here in these writings is that suffering really does happen. People get heavy hearts. This last year has been heavy and hard, and people just aren't feeling it anymore with their faith. But cling to obedience, trust what God is doing, and someday it will all make sense, if not sooner than later. So tomorrow we're going to keep rolling with this, but I think this is important because I think we have to talk about these things. I know we always want to talk about things makes us feel good, but sometimes we just got to talk about these dark things because we tend not to want to talk about the dark things that are going on in our soul because we don't want anybody to know that we feel weak or that we're having doubts or those kinds of things. So, I mean, gosh, if even Sister Faustina is struggling, I think it's okay if we struggle too, but I think she gives us the recipe, and that's her imitation of Christ, in the Garden of Gethsemane, obedience and trust. So I will see you back here for day 25 of our readings from St. Faustina's diary. And until then, Catholic pilgrims, live the faith boldly and travel well.